Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. Today, my friend Tandi Thomas is here to read some poetry for us. We don't get a lot of poets on the program, so if anybody's listening who is a poet and you'd like to read, please go to the website and sign up because I love poetry and I'd love to share your work with the world. Congratulations on your new book, Tandi. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
It's super fun. I absolutely love it when I get to know authors before, during, and after the publishing process because
Yeah.
we kind of get to go through the steps and be cheerleaders for each other.
Mm, I like that.
So so tell me through your writing, developing, editing process, what did you find to be most challenging about putting this book, Sweet Surrender, together?
Hmm. There were a lot of challenges, but I think the main one was um, just kind of trying to silence that inner critic, um, that perfectionism that always comes to the forefront when I would be
Or
writing and or editing. Just overcoming that voice and just saying to myself that this is good enough. You know what I mean? So yeah, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
that was the hard task.
The ugly monster of imposter syndrome is a scary little devil sometimes.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes.
he can kind of get at us, but I'm glad that you overcame that. What was your most enjoyable part of putting this collection together?
Oh gosh, just seeing everything come together and just when I was able to actually just do the writing itself, doing my poetry. I love to write just the rhyming that came together. Yeah, it was just a combination of everything, honestly. This is like my little baby, and I nurtured it well and took care of it. And yeah, it was quite the process, but it was a good one. So
That's fantastic. So, for those of you who didn't get the opportunity to meet Tandy the way I did, we went writing together at the museum one day, and we
yeah.
just had a great time. So, for those of you who haven't met Tandy before, she is a poetic soul with roots in Southern Kentucky. She now calls the vibrant Metro Detroit area in Michigan her home. In the company of her cherished family and beloved pets, she finds inspiration in the everyday moments. When she's not crafting mesmerizing verses, you can find Tandy lost in the world of literature, creating culinary wonders in the kitchen, dancing to the rhythm of life, and treasuring quality time with her loved ones. And I gotta tell you, all of that is 100% true. After you and I spent a day together writing in the museum, I just thought you were one of the most vibrant people I've ever met.
Oh, thank you. You too. I had so much fun that day. You gave me so much inspiration for future writing endeavors too. So
Yeah, it's
thank
it's a
you.
lot of fun to kind of shake it up and go write in a new place sometimes.
Yes, it was. Indeed, it was. Yes.
So tell me about Sweet Surrender. Why did you choose that title for this book?
Hmm. Why did I choose that title? Because I had struggled so long and I felt that it was just necessary for me to find that sweet spot of surrender, surrendering all of my demons, all of the past, and just kind of just laying everything out on the table and saying, here it is, and just offering that the sweetness of it. And that I was able to overcome a lot of the demons that I had been dealing with. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I always like I like to ask authors about titles for poetry books because poetry is so symbolic in its form
Mhm.
that oftentimes the title is just as impactful as any of the pieces.
Yeah, I
So
think
I
so.
always kind of I'm always curious about where titles come from.
Yeah, yeah. And plus, it was a good song that I used to love by Sarah McLachlan years ago. I don't remember what year it came out, but that
Hmm.
always stuck with me. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm very excited to have you read for us. So
Thank
when
you.
you're ready, please take the microphone and read
Okay.
aloud.
All right. So this one is entitled Bridges. My bitterness caught fire as my instincts grew cold, walking around unnoticed, heart heavy, sanity mistold. As my courage sank deeper and deeper every day, my past hindered my thinking. What else can I say? Besides, I'm sorry for the mistreatment you endured. My ignorance captured me. My discomfort and shame were part of my allure. But I cannot stand by for the rest of my life while you pretend you don't see. The pain and trauma are generational, but didn't begin with me. I know I have hurt you, and I remind myself daily that I can never return. However, new bridges can be built together as the old ones are left to burn. This one is entitled Blank Space. Numb, but painfully aware. Deeply saddened as to life and its circumstances. Lost, but grounded firmly in my pain. Relief, but I choose remorse. Uncomfortable as I am nostalgic. Vulnerable as I seek out freedom from the chaos of my mind. Healing, but deeply wounded at the very same time. This is entitled Pray. The little girl inside of me, constantly on high alert, putting in extra effort to compensate for my lack of self-worth. I am always on the hunt for external validation. I give in to my perfectionism, despite my inner frustration of just feeling like I'm never enough. I feel so restless some days, and I'm afraid to make a mistake. So I apply more pressure, forgetting that I do have what it takes to let go of this vicious cycle that I am in. So I reaffirm affirmations as I pray to God, just let this be the end, so that I can finally move forward with my life, getting out of my own way while allowing more joy, less strife. Hero. An inner sweetness makes its way through the cracks in my armor. The shield I have reluctantly carried has been gracefully put aside. I allow my truth to guide me along my journey of self-awareness. With my heart and soul at the helm, endless opportunities shall present themselves, and I wait no more because I am the hero I have been searching for. This is Soul Desire. Bitter pieces left buried beneath my soul. A story remembered, a story left untold. My shadow has cast a spell upon my heart. I didn't know the pain that existed, and I wasn't aware of my part, of just how insecure and desperate I was to fit in. So I write these messages, these words as a message to a dear old friend. It's me who feels like I have been coming up short. It's my own insecurities, doubts, and mine that distorts the absolute truth of who I am. I now proclaim that I am a divine being of light, my soul eternal, my warrior wings ready for flight. And I can no longer hold myself back with something I feel I must prove. My journey of soul awakening reminds me daily to let go and to keep pushing through. Origin. I have found a resting place, distance between doing and being. I have traveled great lengths to be here, and I didn't leave anything unaccounted for. Once consumed by my need to please, I have stumbled upon an empty sanctuary here in my heart. Now I can begin to refill this space with joyful expression, lessons in magic, and the art of surrender. My power shall come back to life as I dance to the light energy of the moon. Personal power. I am beginning to learn how to turn my pain into my own personal power. although I catch myself sometimes drifting periodically back into old patterns and outdated ways of thinking and being. Learning to breathe new life into the old has taken me lots of time and consideration, especially with my mental health and anxiety. There has been lots of hesitation. And when I find myself locked into the internal war between my head and my heart, I begin to breathe slowly while I gently tear apart the grip of nervousness and fear. And I reassure myself that it is safe and it's okay to slow down and just be here, exactly who I am in this moment. Guiding post. Clarity, the pinnacle that I was always unable to reach. I have found myself scratching and crawling my way up an inclined peak, always searching for answers to life's big questions, finding myself lost with no definitive directions. I was still searching for answers out there as my internal navigational system flashed, look back in here, when only my soul knew the way back home. So I changed directions and started venturing into the unknown. And I slowly started to listen to my heart instead of my mind. And the answers that I sought have been buried here the entire time. I've got 2 more to go. Worthy. I seek refuge in the silence, and I seek peace from within. I shall rest eternally knowing that I don't have to sacrifice who I am in order to fit in. The journey of self-healing has often brought me to my knees. I have prayed countless times to help me find out what exactly it is that I need. And from the beginning, I just wanted to be loved, and I longed to be seen for the innocent child that I was. The pain that I carried almost took me under, but my inner child knew that I was worthy of a life filled with self-confidence and childlike wonder. I know now what it is that I am capable and worthy of, and I will no longer settle for less or hold out just for breadcrumbs. Redemption. Unfortunately, I cannot erase what has happened to me. I can only choose forward movement and accept my newfound reality. And as much as I have wanted to live a life judgment-free, I have promised myself that other opinions have little to nothing to do with me. So here I am, a much simpler and wiser version of myself. The weight and worry can now be gently placed back upon that dusty shelf from which it came, as my story is about self-forgiveness and no longer about who's to blame. And that's it.
Thank you very much. How
Thank you.
wonderful. So, I think you told me in the green room you had approximately 60 pieces in this collection.
Yes. I think around 60, 64-ish. Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds.
How long did it take you to write all of these pieces?
Some of them it took longer than most. Some of them I could come up with in a short amount of time, but I had to go through and tweak them. So it just varied on which poem, for example. Yeah.
So how many drafts do you usually go through for each piece?
Oh
Are
boy.
you one of those poets who just can sit down, write it, and then it's done? Or do you need to go back and tweak and move things and rearrange thoughts and meanings? How do you approach your poetic craft?
Yeah, I definitely have to go back and tweak things because I mean, I can just come up with rhymes right off the top of my head, but a lot of times I need to go back in and refine it. You know, yeah, the rough draft is sometimes it's good, but in my mind, it's just not good enough. So,
So when I wrote my collection of poetry many, many years ago, there were some pieces that I felt like I wasn't fully present when I wrote them.
mm,
It was almost there was a spirit guiding those words. And I remember looking back at it and saying, "Did I write this? Did this come out of me?" Did you have a similar experience with any of yours?
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely felt like God had a hand in this the whole entire time, because I had the same, kinda, I don't know if it's an epiphany or what, but I was just like, This I really wrote this?" You know what I mean? Like, "Okay." But it was like, it felt like God had a hand in it, and my higher self did too, and we're just collaborating, and yeah, I was just getting, like, these streams and these downloads, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that writing fiction where I'll be in the zone for a while and I write 2 or 3 chapters, I go and get dinner and I come back and reread what I wrote and think, well, I didn't do that. That didn't come from me. So over the years, as some of the listeners know, I found Drake, who is a little tiny duck who sits on my shoulder and tells me what to
Oh,
do. So in those moments when I'm not present, it's all Drake. Drake does it.
yeah.
So
I love
um
that.
yeah, yeah. He first showed up when I was about 7, and he's been helping me write ever since. Do you
Oh.
have a sense of a muse like that?
Mm, I don't know. I can't really answer that. Probably no, not right off the top of my head.
Okay.
So,
And then the last question I had for you, because this is another curiosity I have with poets in
sure.
particular, is there a poet for you who was very influential in your writing process?
Oh, yes. Rumi, I would have to say.
Mm.
Um, and Khalil, is it Gibran? I think it's how
Yeah.
you pronounce his last name.
Yep.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
two. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They're both very strong poets.
Oh, very, very, very. I mean, their words are, and they're so simplified. It's just so easy for me to just kind of like lose myself in. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. I am so glad you came to read for us. And
Thank
I
you.
I know that you are working on another collection, so I hope when that's finished you'll come back and read for me again.
Absolutely. This was so much fun. Thank you.
And I look forward to writing with you again on one of our field trips. That'll be super fun.
Yes, it will.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for your time, Tandy. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.